I was ecstatic, to be honest with you. I was more excited, not because of the campaign that I'm running, but more for the victims. A lot of people don't understand when you say access to justice. Rape victims are victimized all the way through, up to when they get to the justice system. Now, with this law, it enabled them to be represented in court without them worrying about paying a lawyer. You know, so you can imagine how many victims has gone through this trauma and they had to pull out at the end just because they don't have the finances to pay lawyers to represent them after being abused. You don't celebrate abuse, but then this is a celebration that they are now one step closer to a closure for them. And it also helps with the campaign that I run, because now I don't have to worry about which lawyer is willing to represent a victim. They all know now they are mandated to do that. So justice for them is justice for every one of us, because we are just the voices for them. They don't want to talk, and then we talk on their behalf. And hopefully with this resolution, and this is the first resolution Sierra Leone has actually put in since independent. Now putting in your first resolution and get that through also means that the government is doing something right. The only time I know Sierra Leone participated on anything to do with the resolution was actually voting in favor of China to join the United Nations. That's the only time. This is the first time. And this happening under His Excellency's regime, and then happening when I am championing a very, very aggressive campaign to secure the protection of girls and women in Sierra Leone, in Africa as a whole. I think justice for us is rewarding.
So after the passage of this resolution, what's next? What is Sierra Leone championing here?
You know, it's like you give us this, we'll take it, and then we ask for more. Because there's a whole lot of things that need to be put in place if we want to get a holistic framework of how to prevent or protect our girls. Now, most of the victims really don't have the opportunity to talk to each other, you know, and know that, okay, today is the day that I'm free to just say, I am a victim. Just that word. That word frees you to say, well, I'm not alone, actually. So we are going to ask the United Nations again if they will give us November 18. November 18, so we will have that date as a day that victims of rape will commemorate, will congregate, will share ideas, will talk about what they think needs to be done. That's when we will want to learn from them. So we'll have that day just for them to be able to talk to one another from every part of the world. So that is the other resolution we are going to be asking the United Nations to give to victims of rape.
Madam First Lady, as the First Lady and Mother of the Nation, I'm sure you've heard reports that gender-based violence in Sierra Leone for a long time had been a problem. What do you think should be done? What steps should be taken to address this problem?
Now, let me add to your question, really. Gender-based violence is not only prone in Sierra Leone. Right. That is an African problem. But you'll be surprised also that in Asia, they face the same thing. In the Middle East, they face the same thing. Europe and America, they do face the same thing. And because of the population, I can tell you maybe they have more violence in this part of the world than we do in Africa, just because of the population. Because in Sierra Leone, we're talking about 7.5 million people. And then where you have 200-300 million people, when there is a violence there, you know, until you have your data, then you understand the number of people that has been abused in Europe, America, or Asia, or the Middle East. But for me to answer your question, with Sierra Leone's story is a peculiar one. Sierra Leone's story is a different kind of story within West Africa, because Sierra Leone went through war, 11 years of aggressive war, very brutal war, and we've come out of that. We've come out of that and refused to be victims of war, because we have moved on from that. But then you do have people whose mentality has not been transformed yet. I think that's what the problem is. And for 11 years, for those that actually did not have the opportunity to be educated, they are now men in our society. They don't understand the difference of, is this right or wrong? They don't. And I think it is also a kind of a curse, because the things that they do when they rape women or children in Sierra Leone or Africa as a whole, you must have a mental problem. For a man, a full-grown man, to look at a 3-year-old child and rape them, there must be a problem with you. But is that a justification? You doing it? It is not a justification. So when you do that, we will come after you, and we will make sure, if you have a mental problem, we'll put you in a place where you will not have access to abusing another woman, you know. So I think that transition from war to where we are now, those young kids who went through the process of the war are now men. And some of them, because not all of them, some of them still think what they used to do when they were at the front is acceptable in our society now. So we have to re-educate them and tell them, no, it is not acceptable, because what you used to do then might be acceptable because of the circumstances. But we now live in a free and democratic society. Sierra Leone had 5 elections democratically, and then transition of power from one president to another. And this is the 3rd president since after the declaration of the end of the war. So we have managed to become the 4th most peaceful country in Africa. I think that's a title that we should cherish. So when we see people abusing women, it becomes a concern, because it's unacceptable. You cannot be progressing in all other part of your country's development, but then 52% of your population are suffering because other men think that they are commodities.
What specific plans are there, and is there a commitment by the government with policies to fight gender-based violence in Sierra Leone?
Maada Bio has been so aggressive, sometimes I'm even terrified, because there is aggressiveness as a president, and his focus and determination as a president to give equality to women is unmatched in Africa today. Since day one, the first thing he did, he declares a state of emergency on rape, and then from that point, he had changed so many policies. We now have the radical inclusion, where it enables girls, even when they are pregnant, you know, because some girls are raped and then become pregnant, they are going to be dropped out of school. We have the radical inclusion. Even when you're pregnant, you can come to school, you know, in a situation where you still want to be in school. The policy to change, and we now have a special court. We have a special court that is to fast track cases, because before, when a child or a woman is raped and that case comes to court, it stays there forever, and there'll be nothing that will come out of it. Now that's not the case, because we have a special court that only sits to decide on rape cases. So it's become faster. He had changed the law. Before, you can rape a child and you will be sent to prison for 3 weeks, or maximum 4 months, 6 months. You have people in position, ministers in positions that were accused of raping girls, or they will promise girls that they will give them scholarship, and then girls will come to their offices and they will abuse them. And that will bring so much alarm in the country, and nothing comes out of it. Maada Bio said, not under his own watch. If anybody in high position is accused of being raped, of raping another person's child, you're going to face the full consequences of the law. So now, the minimum you get when you are found guilty of raping anybody in Sierra Leone is 15 years. That's the minimum. I believe by the time you come out of prison 15 years later, you would have reformed your own mental state. And we've got that. And the new law also that he has put in place, or he's trying to get Parliament to approve, is the Safe Motherhood Bill. The Safe Motherhood Bill is something that is huge in Sierra Leone, and women, everyone is pushing for that. Again, you do have people who will be a victim of rape, who will end up being pregnant, and they don't want to keep that child. Now, what do? Are you going to force a victim of such a circumstances to go through having a child that will remind them of who did it to them for the rest of their lives? That bill also is in Parliament today. We are working aggressively to get that passed. He has done so much. In fact, he's doing it so rapidly, you just think he's the president of only gender, and we're grateful because his tenacity and his braveness to say enough is enough, I think, is one that we should commend.
Madam First Lady, what do you say to critics of the administration who are of the view that the president is using this and you are championing girls just as a political stunt to score political points for next year's election, as well as use that to undermine their ability to campaign or to get ready for next year's elections? How do you respond to that?
I would say, seriously, anybody who know my background will know that this is something that I started doing when I was 17 years old. For anybody who will see this as a political gimmick or political point scoring, then you definitely have a mental problem, because you're not looking at what is happening in the world today. I am not a victim of rape, but I'm a victim of early marriage. And for me, indirectly, a victim of early marriage is legalized rape, because you do not ask a child, can I have sex with you? So my campaign, before I even know who Maada Bio is, I have been doing this. I have campaigned. I did not have this platform because I was just an actress. But even becoming an actress as a child, I have been campaigning and saying, no, this is wrong. It is wrong because I know. Because I was one of those victims. So I know it is wrong. So how can you say to a victim, well, you are campaigning for this because of politics? You don't know what shoe I'm wearing. You are wearing your own shoe because you're not a victim. If you're a victim, you will understand why no one should sit and allow a child to go through that on their own. Maada Bio does this not for politics. Before even becoming president of that country, this is a man, whenever he hears about rape on the radio, he becomes so disturbed the whole day. He talks about it. And he promised me, he keeps saying to me, I swear to God, the day I am announced as the president of this country, none of this will happen here. So, and he's been doing this for 4 years. And you call that politics? Politics is every 5 years. He would have waited.
But they are saying that the president is using this as a pretext to go after his perceived political enemies, just to make them unpopular with accusations. So they will not be able to give him a tough time in next year's general election.
Well, let me start with the few that I know about. When the then flag bearer of the main opposition was accused by 3 women from their own political party, they were not doing Maada Bio a favor. They were not part of Maada Bio's political party. It is from his own political party when he was accused of being a rapist. And they were the sitting government then. Who was accusing them? Not Maada Bio. Maada Bio didn't have the power to do any of that. And so the only one that I know about is a guy called Kamarimba, who is in prison.
Right.
Okay.
He's also a critic of the administration, by the way.
No, he's a politician.
Right.
He's not a critic of an administration. He is a politician. And with that, I really don't want to really talk about his case because as I sit here, I have been accused of being the one who locked him up, as if I am the justice system. I did not accuse that guy of rape. It was a child that accused him of rape. And the child is alive. He's not dead. She is alive. She's the one who accused him of rape. Now, are you going to listen to one side because this guy is a politician? And what about that child's right? I have never even discussed this case before now because it is none of my business. I had nothing to do with it. Maybe the accusation came at a time when my campaign was really, really, being accepted by society.
This was before the pandemic?
Yes, maybe. Because at that time, everybody now was saying, oh, hands off our girls, hands off our girls, hands off our girls. And then this little girl came up and said, well, I was raped. Now, am I the justice system to say, no, you're lying? I don't know the girl. I've never even met the girl I've never met her. And I have never seen a file about Mohammed Kamarimba. As God is my witness, I have never opened a file and looked at what happened, why this, why that. No. But I have been accused time and again. But I understand why you'll accuse me. If I am the one out there fighting for these girls to have a voice, then yes, your accusation is right. Because you're not going to silence me. Even if it's not for this girl that accused him, I'm still going to be talking for as many girls as possible until I feel like they are safe. But to say we get involved, why would Maada Bio want to go after Kamarimba? Kamarimba's political, how much vote did he get? Because if this person is your immediate competitor, then you say yes. But come on, Maada Bio won. Samura Kamara came second. Kande Yumkela came third. And I don't even know what Kamarimba, what was his position in the election. Why would anybody go after him for political gain? No, I think that's been unfair.
What is the status of your Hands Off Our Girls campaign at the moment?
It has moved from Sierra Leone to Africa and now it's global because there is no single international conference around the world today that I am not being asked to come and lend a voice. And I don't lend a voice because of I am Fatima, the First Lady of Sierra Leone, but because they understand what my campaign stands for and the tenacity to say it as it is, because I don't polish, I don't cover up. And I say it as it is. When it is right, I say it is right. When it is wrong, I say it is wrong. So I think people feel comfortable with my honesty. People feel comfortable with my tenacity to say things that a lot of people are scared to talk about in Africa. Rape is our biggest problem. Our own pandemic is not COVID-19. Our pandemic is rape. And if we don't look into those issues in Africa, not just in Sierra Leone, but the whole of Africa, I think the only thing that is bigger than rape in Africa for us is malaria.
So, Madam First Lady, what should Sierra Leonean women expect ahead of next year's general election about their protection, their safety, their well-being, and the well-being of the girl child in Sierra Leone?
I think Sierra Leonean women, first of all, what they need to do, because you do have women who are inciters, and they should understand whenever there is a problem, it is women that suffers. The women and children. We are not saying men don't suffer, but the women and children suffer more because the responsibilities that will be on them when there is a commotion in the country is unmeasurable. So I believe that women should be a voice for peace. Women, we should understand politics. We have the right to be part of the political landscape. We have the right to campaign on policy basis. What we don't have the right to do is incite people. What we don't have the right to do is force other people's children to go out there while we hide our own children from chaos. We push other people's children because they're doing that. You know, you give those boys drugs, you give them tramadol, kush. They have all of these horrible names for all of these illegal substances. You give it to them, and then in the name of politics, you now send them out on the street for something bad to happen to them while you protect your own child in your house. Then you are evil. If you're a true mother, as a woman, you should be the one that should protect not only your own child, but protect the children of that nation. And my advice to every woman in Sierra Leone is that for what we have gone through, I think we should be smart enough to say no to politicians that will want to use us to cause chaos in our country.
Before we go, Madam First Lady, what is your message to women in Sierra Leone and in Africa?
We need to believe in ourselves. We need to understand that, yes, it has taken far too long for us to actually sit in our position where we belong. We need to understand that, yes, it is sad that every time we have conferences like this, the subject is about women, not about our achievement, but how can you include us? But if we stay silent, we continue to be at the back. So people like us, when we talk, we are not talking because we want to just speak up. We want to speak up for all women in Africa to say, we are not going to allow you keep us at the back anymore. We can be at the front and still cook your meal. We can be at the front and still have the babies. We can still be at the front and still take care of the home. Because women are versatile, we can multitask, and we can do anything. So if women start to believe in that and stop just programming themselves for one thing and say, well, I'm a mother, I should stay home. I'm a mother, my job is to cook. I am a woman, my job is just to clean the house and prepare the meal. If we start to think like, yes, as a woman, I can be a woman and do all of these things seamlessly, and sit up in the evening and put my feet up and say, yes, I am a woman who can serve not only myself, but serve the world.
Thank you very much, Madam First Lady.
Thank you.